volta. Ganrira we korwe jinkan sum pandang dewa malum jun ene cherezin wantem jin jatso ye jape kauje bardut jurchi. Ganrira we korwe jinkan sum pandang dewa malum jun ene cherezin wantem jin jatso ye jape kauje bardut jurchi. Ganrira we korwe jinkan sum pandang dewa malum jun ene cherezin wantem jin jatso ye jape kauje bardu tenjuru Chime kunye pe masamba watsa sun rajan sense no pai garji wanchu chogi trupe kukutse tenchin se tarchin sho. Chime kunye pe masamba watsa sun rajan sense no pai garji wanchu chogi trupe kukutse tenchin se tarchin sho. Chime kunye pe masamba watsa sun rajan sense no pai garji wanchu chogi trupe kukutse tenchin se tarchin sho. Donju gong pe jin la pa po to da so nye dro tse we je zung we drin la me ku tse ta ten ne me jung tu che je don yong dru sho. Donju gong pe jin la pa po to da so nye dro tse we je zung we drin la me ku tse ta ten ne me jung che je don yong dru sho. Donju gong pe jin la pa po to da so nye dru tse we je zung we drin la me ku tse ta ten ne me jung tu che je don yong dru sho. Pen den ju we ne chi po ten pa yung ri ne pa do ten pa tsin pe che bun nan ku tse chao tse ten ju ru chi. Ken lo cho sung rin lo che za lin sa sung cha par pel dro ju cho sung na wa dang mi drao du sung ge le show. Boa noite.
Boa
Boa noite,
noite,
pessoal.
gratidão. Boa
Obrigado pela
noite.
companhia.
Gratidão.
Tchau.
Boa noite.
Boa
Gratidão.
noite, Sanga.
Boa noite, gratidão.
Gratidão.
pessoal.
Gratidão, linda Sanga. Gratidão. Gratidão.
Boa noite.
Boa noite.
Boa noite a todos. Boa noite, Sanga.
Boa noite.
Muito obrigado. Obrigado.
De nada. Muito bom.
Gratidão.
Boa noite.
Boa noite. Boa noite a todos. Boa noite, Sanga.
Boa noite.
Muito obrigado.
Jacob. So
this dude showing up with a freaking
a big
10
There's
ton.
so much, and even if we had more, I don't think it.
Oh my god.
Von Gittin just does a very
No,
good
that
job.
is that Vaughn?
I like this.
You also have gigantic hands.
In that car right now. We didn't fly all the ways here to watch you walk around in a sling.
How hot? Have you checked the weather yet? Do you think St. Louis is going to be scorching hot? I have no idea. I haven't checked the weather yet. But you know it is hot? This deal I got for you, which is saving $5 by using OZSTL at checkout. That's right. Do it. Just go for it. Go do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Outer Zone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins. We're scaring Rome's cat. Apparently our claps sync to get everything going. Freaked Rome's cat. I'm so sorry, Rome's cat. But yes, we have Rome Sharpens here on. What's up, dude? How you been?
Good, super busy, which is always a good thing. Always a good thing. So
I really do feel like you never stop. Like, I don't know when you slow down, or do you take days off, or is it's just very routinely scheduled?
So, I mean, I guess today is a day off because there's nothing that I had to do, but I still ended up at Apple Valley with Matthew from Grogistic because he bought a $600 E36 and he's like, do you think this thing will drift? I'm like, let's go send it. So that's what we're doing today.
Is that almost more fun at this point, like driving a $600 like E36 than driving a pro car?
It's totally a different feeling because especially this one. So let me explain. $600 car. They manual swapped it. He's like, all right, let's go for it. So he ran a couple laps and he was actually doing pretty decent. Like he's very new to drifting. You'll probably see him in drifting. He does a lot of road racing, but he gets out there and runs a couple laps. I'm like, all right, not bad. He's like, here, go with me. And there's no passenger seat. So I'm in the back seat with like this factory seatbelt, just kind of holding it. And it's pretty rough. And then he's like, here, you drive it. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, no, go for it. So e-brake doesn't work. It's only steering wheel and pedals, of course. And I go to flick in. And as soon as I touch the left foot brake, no one disconnected ABS or anything. So it just like locks the front brakes and they just try and like break your kneecap. And I found out real quick how hard it is to drift with ABS on, traction control on. Like, I was like, let's go back. Like we need to do a lot of work. Hold on, let's go back. So I started pulling fuses out of it. And it got way better. When all the lights are on the dash, the Christmas tree setup, that's how you know E36 is ready to go.
Yeah, it's funny because I'll see people who get like disheartened with drifting, whether it's a huge financial thing. Like whatever part of drifting that they start to fall out of love with. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I tell them is like, just go party drift. Like just go with friends, go, super cheap, bang doors with friends for an entire afternoon. If you still feel the same way when you're done, then you can make some decisions. But like, don't do anything stupid until you just go back and party drift to some friends. You'll fall in love with the sport again. Everything will be fine. And seems to work.
Right. It is. 100%. I agree. So it's a good time.
Yeah. It's just, you got to get back to the roots of why we all got into it in the first place. Like very few people just started drifting in a pro level car, really high horsepower car. Like I would say most of us, but like, more and more people are getting into pro level cars right off the bat now. But for a lot of us, that's how we started.
Yeah, and now I think it's a little bit different. I think it makes maybe a little bit more sense doing it that way, for the simple fact of like, you can take a shell and build everything from that because a stock S chassis is so expensive running that it's almost cheaper to go the other way and just buy kind of a beat up shell and rebuild it than it is buying a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 S chassis that's still really isn't going to do what you're asking it to do. So
that's a good point.
It's kind of weird, like a weird era that we're into. Also, certain cars are getting super expensive. I remember cutting up S chassis and throwing them away because I'd post them for free and no one wanted them. Like I couldn't get rid of them. We just take the parts off we wanted. And now they're worth gold. So everything's kind of changing, but I don't know. I still recommend people starting in whatever stock vehicle they can get so they don't learn bad habits right away. Because it definitely humbles you real quickly. Like I'm used to running Apple Valley with a high horsepower car. Even a low horsepower for us is like 500 now. So when I get in a car that maybe it had 300,000 miles on it. So maybe 140-ish with ABS on. Like I learned real quick how difficult fully stock is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that you have to learn when it comes to things like weight transfer or like understanding when a car is truly bogging out, because you can make that correction so much easier at 100 horsepower than it is making that correction at like 5, 8, 1,000 horsepower. Like clutch kicking an 800 horsepower car is very different than clutch kicking a 100 horsepower car.
Yeah. And it's almost like you clutch kick for the different reason. Like we're clutch kicking the car to find grip. So it's almost like we're using the clutch to pull power out of the car to find grip to let it light back up. Versus in a 150 horsepower car, you're just trying to make it around the corner still.
Yeah, that's such an interesting kind of thing to talk about too, is because I don't think a lot of people understand that the way that a pro car is driven is so much different than your stock vehicle, that like it's almost counterintuitive, similar to what you said. Like you're clutch kicking to figure out how to gain just a little bit more traction back into the car to get that surge going. Yeah, it can still be used to break traction, but you do need it to find traction as well, which is so weird.
Yeah, because especially on like a turbo setup, once you clutch kick and you break traction, it spools up. Now you have to figure out how to turn the power back down and like bring the wheel speed back down to go forward. If not, you're just going to sit there and get gapped.
Yeah, it's really, really strange that way, that like coming off throttle can often make you go forward faster. Like it's very counterintuitive to what you think. Although I did notice in Orlando, there's a few cars that are doing some really interesting stuff. I mean, of course, it's like Odie, like this, you get into the suspension people. The way Odie's car could find grip and dive was really interesting in Orlando. I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, okay, there's something different going on here that I haven't seen before.
So what else is funny is Rudy Hansen's car was super fast, if you notice, right?
Yeah.
He left Long Beach and was like, I don't know what to do for Orlando. We're just going to leave it alone. And he ran it completely the same way as he did Long Beach, and it was a rocket ship. So I don't know really, and I don't think we ever found like an actual answer on what makes him super fast or whatever. So I think the biggest thing is line. I know it sounds, counterintuitive or whatever, or, very true in any sport, but the line you take or the line you draw through Orlando definitely affects on how much speed you have going into the next section or next zone.
Yeah, it's definitely a carryover track, like keeping a ton of speed coming off the bank, and then the way you literally drive off the bank kind of makes the rest of that run. Like it's initiation and then coming off the bank, and those two things are super critical. There's the transition, the clips, and all that stuff, of course, but like if you screw up that initiation, that outside zone one it's basically over at that point.
Yeah, and there's
and that could be a run. Yeah,
and there's nowhere to catch up because you only change direction once.
Yeah,
like it's you flick in and then you change direction one time, and that's the end of the lap.
Yeah, I mean we're going into New Jersey, which is basically the same as well. So it's basically the same kind of layout, just very different at the same time.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it. It should be a fun. It's always great with the crowd there. Like Jersey crowd is awesome. I mean, even last year I think it was 104 outside. It was miserable, and the crowd was still great. So I'm really, really pumped on the New Jersey events and track and everything.
What do you think it is about New Jersey in particular that like it has a feeling? I don't know if it's the history or the knowledge of the fan base, but it has a feeling.
I think also this sounds maybe weird, but this is from the hockey background, which you could recognize this. I think there's a like an us versus them that establishes right away because there's a middle section and the fans are facing the other fans. So there's kind of like a hockey game or sports feeling to the arena because it's you're facing the other people, and once they get excited, you get excited. Once like it just keeps going back and forth, so it just starts escalating so high that it's so easy to build kind of atmosphere and build culture and build excitement there. Versus when you go to a track more like let's say Utah, you're kind of just staring off into the middle of nowhere once you look past the track. So there's no one to feed the energy with you, like to feed back off of. Just like in driving, if there's someone in front of you that's just absolutely jamming or killing it, it's easy to do really good with them. But if he or she's all over the place, you're like, I'm going to back up. This looks a little scary.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never thought of it that way. That like you're forced to acknowledge the excitement of the people across from you. So you kind of have to match that energy, and then it just goes back and forth and builds.
Yeah. So I think that's why Atlanta has good energy. It's kind of like a bowl, and you can kind of see everyone, and that one's really good. Long Beach are facing each other in short proximity, so that's awesome. Then you have Orlando, and it's kind of around again. It is a bigger around, but it's still around. And Orlando's energy, you saw last event, it was insane, like through the moon. So super good there. And then you go to this one, and it's the same thing. Like you're facing each other again, just straight across. So I think that's why it jams. And then you go to Jersey or to St. Louis, and I think that's why St. Louis is kind of the energy's not there because the fans are kind of far away, and you can't really feel their energy back and forth. You're not driving past them in the pits. Like it's kind of too separated almost. Because like for hockey, right? When you get off the ice, you go in between all the fans that are just like going crazy. It's the same thing when you're driving through the pits or through Long Beach. Like there's just people everywhere, and it's an awesome feeling. And then we lose that in St. Louis and in Utah because it's kind of like almost separated.
Yeah, it's weird though because in Seattle we don't have it, but it's like everybody's kind of crammed into this one big grandstand. So you're not getting it across, but you're getting it next to you.
Yeah, and I think it's also being around Bowl. It's still like very, very there from Seattle. So, but I know for a fact the rounds where people can see each other straight across, it gets crazy with all the lights and the phones and people yelling and just the excitement, the energy is huge. Like when you come out and fire under the tunnel, either at Long Beach or under the tunnel at Jersey, it's a different feeling from when there's people there. Or if you go on like a practice day, you come out under the tunnel and you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm just drifting around. But when you come out and there's just crowd, like people everywhere and the stands are going nuts, it's very easy to get kind of like turned up and on point.
Yeah, that's fair. I wonder if FD will kind of, I mean, maybe I'll talk to them about it after this conversation. Be like, hey, when we're setting up grandstands for Long Beach 2, we need to make sure that they're facing each other so we can get that same feeling.
I think that'd be very, very smart because the more events where they're facing each other, the excitement just gets crazy. And I think even in Drift Masters, the events where they're like what is it in Germany, Ferropolis?
Ferropolis, yeah.
Ferropolis, however you say it. They're kind of together and everyone's super excited about it. And then you take runs like Drive Center, right? Which Drive Center is a super nice track in Sweden, but you're just looking off into the middle of nothingness.
Yeah.
And the fans were not as engaged at all. Even though I think there's more fans there, the engagement level wasn't there. It wasn't like super crazy excitement. It was kind of like, cool, it's a drift day.
Yeah, you're projecting the energy out into nothing as opposed to having, another person receiving that energy on the other side.
Yeah, and there's no feedback either, so you don't get immediate feedback. You're kind of like, yay, was that cool? And you're like,
I don't really know. And you're looking like left, looking right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You look out of the car and you're looking around and you're like, hey, because even at the end of Utah, you kind of look up top and you look at the couple people that are on top of the building and they're like, yeah, that was cool. And you're like, okay. But Long Beach, you know right away when you did a good job or not because the crowd just lights on fire.
You can feel it, yeah. I'm sure you can feel it in the car. Like if you can hear the crowd over the engine, you're like, oh shit, that was wild.
Oh yeah, and especially when you stop and you look back to the right and the jumbotron's there and just people are yelling over the top and all to the left side where there's not even drifting going on over there. They just are sitting in the grandstands to the left. They're freaking out. So it's a good time.
Damn, that's wild. Yeah, that's such an interesting take on that. This is the first time I've even thought of that like the way the crowd is set up will determine kind of the feeling of the place.
I mean, that's why Romans and everything back in the day and all the like Vikings and all that would always round up all of it. So you're sitting around each other because you can create your own energy out of nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It just builds that ambiance.
Like, think of football games, not like U.S. football games, but actual football games. Like think of how crazy that goes. Like they get nuts. Like the whole grandstands are shaking and stuff.
Well, in that case, it's divided into the teams as well, right? Like they'll have like you cheer for this team, you have to go sit in this section just to even make that even better. Because then it's less about the other the other side is receiving it, but it's more of a taunt as opposed to like hyping them up. And you get like the chant wars and stuff like that. I would love to go see a proper, European football game in Europe at some point. I think that'd be kind of cool.
It'd be very cool. And I think Drift Masters kind of figured that out with that round event in Poland at the end of the year.
Yeah, in the stadium.
Yeah, it was everything I've ever seen from there. The stadium was going crazy the whole time.
Yeah.
So I like that stadium feeling.
Yeah, that's a wild event. I've never been. I mean, this will be my first year this year, but that's a wild time.
Yeah. So it's much like our Long Beach. Like I just absolutely enjoy it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I mean, I'm very, very happy with our track selection now. I think it's easy to poke holes in a lot of it and you can find things you like or don't like about certain things. But I mean, really, we have such a good mix of kind of everything. Maybe one more big high-speed track or something like that would be cool. But I don't know.
Like some kind of outside. Well, the thing is, like big outside road courses is for drivers. But like small stadium tracks is for the fans. So I like both of them. The fact that we're able to do like grid lives and those type of things on the side of all the FD scheduling makes it allow us to jam on fast, high-speed tracks. So
I really think FD's in such a cool spot right now where we see this collaboration with Grid Life. We see maybe a cooperation with Drift Masters, making sure schedulings are not overlapping. Like what a really unique time where it doesn't feel like there's any like big competition in the air. It's just like, we all love this sport. What can we do as a community to make sure that we're supporting each other and we're not fighting each other? Because like, if we're going to do this, if we're going to make this as big as we want it to be, there's no point in us arguing. There's no point in us fighting. And that to me is what's going to end up making it really, really big and really successful in the coming years.
Well, and I think they've already done that. I mean, it's it's very, very, very similar as far as the two, Drift Masters and FD, as far as pushing forward and making sure that they put on the best show possible, to have the best drivers, have the best, everything they could possibly get for those countries. Like, yes, there's some cool stuff that Drift Masters does, there's some cool stuff that FD does, but it's also, you have to keep in mind they're in different countries than we are. So it's like, there's a totally different game going on, but at the end of the day, it's all about drifting and just getting it out there and putting the best drivers up on it, and getting it out there for the fans and the crowd to see. So I love the direction drifting's going. It's insane. Even the smaller drifting, like I'll be going to IDS in a week and a half, and that's Indonesian drift series, and same thing. I mean, they had 28,000 people show up to a converted parking lot Formula One paddock style system that they built outside of a mall.
Wild.
So it's awesome. Like I love the direction drifting's going in.
E aí, tudo bom?
And that's
Pode
that's
me
Indonesia.
perguntar o
Like
que
that's
quiser.
not
Tá
something
tudo
that's
pronto
really
pra
on the
começar.
radar of a lot of people, right? Like that's just not something you're like, oh, like who's going to come out of Indonesia? Like what drivers are up and coming out of that area? I mean, I have no idea, and I'm pretty heavy into the sport. So that's good though that we see that much fan base in a country we never would originally expect to see a lot of competitive drifting out of.
Well, and they're doing different things to it, even at the grass level. So they have 4 or 5 levels that they have.
Okay.
So you can start in a brand new car, like a stock, anything stock car. And the very first level is like donut competitions. So they have like a donut, and then they'll do 2 at the next level. Basically, it's like a figure 8 with boxes on the figure 8. And you have to drift the figure 8 and click the boxes.
Oh, that's
and you have
smart.
1 minute to figure out how to get the most boxes, like most zones filled, basically, in a figure 8. And anyone can do it. Like we've seen some of our friends, like wives or people, like different people, driving stock M3, stock, like whatever random cars that Israel will drive. They just go out there. And we saw one in a brand new M4, like a 2024 M4, doing the competition, because there's nothing to hit. There's not even anything to run into, but they're like learning how to drift at a very basic level of figure 8, but they're getting rewarded for it. They're getting trophies, they're getting things. So it promotes them. And then after that, the next level is solo runs. So they literally, like, you would do battles on solo runs.
Okay.
So like, let's say I run and you qualify first, and I'm like 2nd or 5th or whatever else. Then we go into our bracket, top 16 bracket, and then we run. So you run a solo run, I run a solo run. Whoever wins, boom, that person moves on to the next one. And they just solo run bracket all the way down to the finals. So there's no damage in cars or vehicles except for your own. It's for people and kids who are basically not comfortable tandeming yet. And then after that, then they go into like a Pro-Am series, which is, tandem and everything like we normally do here. Then they have a Pro series as well. So
That's really smart. That's really smart.
It's really, really cool, because the drivers that have come up, like the driver who won last time I drove there I think he's 12 years old, 12 or 13 years old. Safira, in a Safira.
In a Safira. Wow. Yeah, that's nuts. Like that. I mean, what a simple way. I feel like we've gotten so far away from a lot of the basics. Like, I know in Europe, there's a big competition called King of the Cone. I don't know if you've heard of this, but
no.
Basically you're doing donuts, but there's just a cone on the ground, and these drivers are just precision drifting around the cone without nudging it or moving it out of the box. And it's just like, how close can I get to this cone? And it was kind of like a response to stop people from street drifting and like, just take like a quote unquote takeover culture. But like King of the Cone events will often get more spectators than like a local, even like pro event.
It's because anyone can do it. And I think that's where they've realized that, hold on, we need to bring this back to the basics. And then once you get the people out there and they see the drifting at the high caliper, it's insane. So they always start the show off with like the beginning drifting. And people love it. They're like, oh, he's doing, he did this or this many points or whatever else. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, they're drifting around by the walls. This is crazy. And then they're like, wait, now there's a second car out there. And then wait, they're dragging door. Like it just escalates through the whole weekend of just craziness.
Which, setting up a show, that's how it should be, right? Like do something that gets people hooked and then up the stakes every single time. And then by the time the show's done, they're like, what did I just see? Like it just started with one guy doing a donut and an M3. And next thing I know, it's like a Corvette versus, whatever, door to door all the way around a track. Like that'll get people hooked. And that also brings fans in. And this is something that I think gets overlooked really quickly, is like, the best fans to make of the sport are the friends and family of those that are competing. And like, I don't think enough people bring out their family members like, I'm just a local pro spec driver. I'm like, sick, bring everybody out. Even if you're going to go out in top 32, who cares? Bring everyone out because that's your next group. Like that's what's keeping that local area alive. They're buying concession, they're buying merch, they're, doing stuff like that. That to me is the lowest hanging fruit when we talk about like putting butts in seats.
And then all you have to do is get them in a drift car and they fall in love with it.
One time.
So
just
that's
one
it.
time.
That's all it took me was one time. So
yeah. No, I agree. I was the same way. I saw drifting. I was like, this is pretty cool. And then believe it or not, my first pro ride along was actually Jeff Stoneback in Atlanta at a Grid Life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was, I was doing stunt shows at the Orange Show Pavilion, right? So I was doing stunt shows for them, like street bike stunts. And a younger kid's like, hey, you want to go for a ride along? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And he was in orange 8.6 turbo.
Okay.
And we come out of the little chute, fire down one flick, next flick, smash into the wall, like hardcore into the wall, straighten out, and we go out the exit ramp. So in between the concrete barrier, that's like we hit and went straight and went out the exit ramp. Like it could have been so bad for both of us.
Oh my gosh.
But that was my very first ride along, and I loved it. And it was, Pat. From way back in the day, Pat
Sear?
No, Merdaunt.
Oh, Pat Merdaunt. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and he was like 12 years old or 14 years old or something. And what's funny is then his dad came up to me and was like, man, you did good there. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, last time he gave a ride along at Qualcomm when it was around, he ran into the pole. And I was like, oh, jeez.
So,
okay.
to like, I guess like edit a little bit of what I said. So my first pro ride along was Jeff Stoneback. My first proper ride along before that was my buddy Brandon. And I didn't even know the guy. It was like one of those, I was at a Grid Life. A friend of mine, Nate, is a photographer and was like, hey, I got this guy who drifts. You should go for a ride along with him. No idea who the guy is. We do a couple laps around Gingerman and then someone's side skirt comes off and he runs over it. Well, the side skirt got picked up by his wheel and then chucked through the shifter boot, knocked the shifter linkage, and then flew into the back seat. And it broke the shifter linkage. So like he's having to reach through just to like shove it back into second so we can get around track. And then couldn't shift it anymore. And I remember we like pulled up to Grid and like Nick Swan's there and like we pull off into the grass. And before he even turns the car off, he's already got his cell phone off to like the local O'Reilly's, calling to see if they have the shifter linkage he needs so he can get back out there and drift. That was my first time ever in a drift car. And I'm like, damn, these guys are nuts. Like he's all, for a lot of people, you'd be like, cool, my weekend's over. My car's broken. I'm done. He's trying to, before they even tow him off track, get this car fixed. And I was like, I really like this sport, man. This is good. I like these people.
I think that's just how it is. I remember driving, doing Thursday night drifts, which I'm a huge fan of, but they used to have it at Irwindale. And I remember getting off, basically off work and having everything in the back of my car and driving down there and drifting all night and then trying to figure out how to drive home. And I've had on the BMW, there's like the Guibo, the rubber one on the bottom, and it snapped off. I remember on one of the turns and I'm like, the whole wheel just starts spinning. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a problem. And we had to get really creative. We like turned it so they kind of line up, and then like baling wire that we took off of the fence on the top of Irwindale, we just kind of took it, like twisted off and cut it and then just tied it around the linkage, and I drove home like that. That's so you get very creative when you have to. Absolutely.
Yeah. Those and maybe this is like going to where we're at now with like being able to kind of build a pro car is like, are new drivers still going to have those memories? Are they still going to go through those situations where it's like anything to get back out there? Or is it going to be like, well, like put it in the trailer, we'll try again next time?
Yeah, and I don't know because, and here's the thing, when a pro car fails and you have to put it on the trailer, it's like a catastrophic fail. You know what I mean? Because we won't put it on the trailer unless, I see a rod out the side of the block or something. I'm like, guys, can't fix that one. We out. And that's about it.
I mean, I would say, what was it, Utah 2 years ago, where you guys like shipped an engine up from like California?
So we had a guy that was in Vegas who's like, hey, I'll go grab a motor for you. I said, are you sure? He's like, yeah. So I hit up Greg at Millennium Motorsports, who builds all of the LS motors. and he like darted down from Vegas, drove into San Diego basically, or like just north of San Diego, picked up the motor, and then drove 18 hours through the night to drop us off a motor. We put the motor in 4 hours in the morning, realized it's not tuned, it's nothing. It's a 6 liter, not a 7 liter. And basically at my cruise ship at the time, Nikki was like on the laptop. He's not a tuner in any way. And he's in it and he's going Holly self-learn, Holly self-learn, Holly self-learn, all the way back to the top, to the top where we had to go, because you have to drive through Utah, that whole thing. And that was the only tuning I had, is I'd do a pull and then Holly self-learn, Holly self-learn, Holly self-learn the whole way.
Wild.
And then I was like, it feels like a little down on power. He's like, it's just altitude. We're like, okay, maybe 7 liter to 6 liter. We found out that, how when you move the trigger wheel from the back of the LS to the front of the LS, it could be off a tiny bit. And that's like 4 or 5 degrees of timing. Yeah. So we thought we were about like 18 degrees of timing. Yeah, we're 9. So it made, at full boost, it made, 440 horsepower or something. But we still drove it, did well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Jeez. Yeah, I guess, retracting my previous statement, those things still happen even at the pro level. It's just everything to get out there, everything to make it happen, right?
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, I love drifting just as much as I did back when I started, probably even more, just because it's so cool. It's brought me so many places all over the world. I love driving anywhere. And I learned so much from different people and different cultures and little tricks and like crazy things. I'm always learning something new every day, like all the time.
Yeah. It's you become a collector of things and memories and weird tricks and tips and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially too, like today in the $600 car, it broke the fan shroud because basically the motor mount broke, and then the fan hit the fan thing and like destroyed everything. Luckily, it didn't puncture the radiator. So Matthew was like, "Okay, we're done. We'll load it up." I'm like, "Done." I'm like, we're gonna hot wire the front fan, and the AC fan's gonna work, and it's gonna cool us down the whole time. We'll be good. So plug that in, and it was like brr, I was like, okay, this fan isn't gonna work. Hold on. And all I did was walk one person next to me. I was like, hey, do you have any kind of cooling anything for a 36, like a radiator fan, AC fan, or a fan clutch or anything? He's like, I got this one. Here's a universal 16-inch. I'm like, I'll make it work.
Done.
So it was there, and he was very amazed because he's like, you can just go ask for stuff. Like, people will help you. I'm like, yeah, it's not road racing world. It's a very different world. Like, you can literally walk into anyone's pit up and down. Like, someone will help you. Like, you'll figure something out. Yeah. So he was ready to give up, and now he's actually still driving. They're driving till midnight tonight. So
oh, no way.
I came home to be on here with you guys and get away from the heat. It was 114 degrees outside.
Dude,
so it was probably one of the hottest days up there I've been at.
I was complaining it was like 95 at OSW today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, different heat too, but yeah, correct. It's that's still crazy hot. Though. Yeah, still hot. But go out, drive. You deal with the heat, drink lots of fluids, and you just go and drive. You're like, we're lucky to be out here, right? Yeah, exactly.
Like PDLA knockoff or whatever this is.
Dude, that stuff is so key. Anything with just electrolytes and salts in it, I think you've got to get it in you. You're gonna sweat so much of that out. If you're sweating and you feel gritty, that means that you need salt back in your body really bad.
And I try and wear the sleeves, so like you still have air, but you got the sleeves on, so you don't get burned.
I need to start doing that. I really do.
Well, you're just trying to show off your sleeves. It's a different game.
I know. See, it's the different. I paid for all this art, man. Like, you gotta. It's so hard to hide it. It's like it's like driving. It's like fresh painted car, and you keep a shroud on it, or you keep a cover on it the whole time. Like,
Yeah. So we actually had a really good beam team. Brian, who's one of the drivers, we started learning how to drive with him and his brother Tyler drive together, and they always have this really cool purple car. Okay. And I remember we went to an event. This comes off of what you just said. They got the car freshly painted, and then they're like, "All right, cool." And they put a car cover on it. And like 3 days later, pulled the car cover off to go to the event, and then the whole car was fuzzy because the fuzzy on the car cover stuck to the paint that hadn't cured all the way, so it looked like a fuzzy like Barney car. The whole thing was fuzzy, and I was like, "Did you do that on purpose?" And they're like, "No, this is bad, like real bad."
You almost have to like take a tiger torch to the whole thing and burn like the fuzzies on your stock, right? You
it like won't one come corner. Off. It was so bad. Oh my! They didn't cut it all the way back down to start over.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So if you have a fresh paint job, don't put a fluffy car cover, because you thought the soft car cover would like not scratch the paint. Yeah, it didn't scratch the paint because it just became part of it.
I thought you were going to tell me it scratched the hell out of it, like fresh, because it was so soft. I didn't even think it would embed the fibers into it. Damn.
No one did. He would feel it off. He's like, hey guys, can you help me get the car cover off? It was like peeling off.
Reminds me, do you remember like the original Matilda movie where she like glues her dad's hat to his head?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Anyways, there's a scene in the original Matilda where Danny DeVito's the dad, but the daughter Matilda glues his hat to his head, and he has to like peel the hat off. And there's little bits of hat left on his head all the way around. That was like the first thing I thought of, was just bits of this car cover coming off. Jeez, that's brutal. Yeah. I don't think I've done anything that bad. There's probably some mosquitoes in my paint job now because I did the whole thing in the driveway. So I'm sure there's some bugs that are like embedded somewhere in the single stage paint, but it's a drift car. It's fine. As long as it looks all right in motion, that's it. As long as like when you're driving it, no one can tell how bad it is.
Especially when people walk close to the FD cars. Like they look good from the grandstands. If you guys get too close, you're like, this thing has some problems. I'm like, yeah, I opened the door, the rocker panel's all caved in. I mean, my floor's caved in on the other side from going, Christmas tree hunting up in Utah. So we found some discount Christmas trees out in the woods. So that was a good time. I mean, the car's been through a lot, that one series.
I feel like all of your cars have, though, they've all been through big wrecks at some point in time. I think that's like a staple.
The Jax was the freshest car, and then Atlanta.
Oh, I know.
Then we're like, well, no more fresh cars.
Yeah. That hit was bad, but I think he came out of it all right. Now, obviously, I didn't have to fix it, so I don't know exactly how bad it was, but it didn't seem as bad as what it... Right before he hit the wall, I went, oh, this is it. This car's done. And then I was like, oh, it doesn't actually seem that bad.
Yeah, bash bar and stuff did its job. Everything kind of pushed over out of the way. Nothing really... It wasn't too structurally bad, but the subframes on the front of those cars are aluminum. So as soon as you hit anything, they just disintegrate into pieces. And that's really what the bad part is. So then they break, and then when you try and put the new aluminum one on, nothing lines up again. So you have to pull the frame rails and move them all around, and then finally it'll go back together.
Have you, I'm assuming you have, but have you chatted with Kevin about running an aftermarket subframe in that? Like if there's some...
They don't really make
write
one.
in rules. Yeah.
We found a steel one, actually, out of an all-wheel drive. But the geometry is totally different.
Really? Oh, because it's got to have CVs that run through it. And
so there's a lot of wacky stuff with it. Like the pickup points aren't the same. The bolt holes are the same, but the pickup points and stuff are not the same. So it's kind of different. I think we just lost you.
Oh, lovely. My camera decided to die. Give me 1 second.
This is a fun part. Oh, there's a whale too. Look at this big one. Hold on. So you can pull this thing in. Oh, he's back. I gotta hide. Look.
All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming. The joys of running a podcast. There's like a power outlet that is supposed to keep batteries and backup done, and apparently was unplugged. So that was a good time. But I mean, it's like running a drift car. You think you've got everything sorted. You've got a good system in place. It's worked forever, and then just all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's an unexpected thing that I never would have seen coming.
That was my LS car yesterday. We took it out for the first time basically the second time, but first time since LS Fest with like the white to pink fade livery. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Yeah, I did. It looks really good.
I was really scared of the like floral cherry blossoms on the side because I've seen really bad vinyl cherry blossoms. And I did not want, I know you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you mean.
I did not want that to happen. So I was like, you think we could do it good? And they're like, if it doesn't look good, I'm not going to print it. I'm like, okay, let's send it. And then it came out quite good the way I wanted it. So, but anyways, back to what you were saying is basically, I don't think I made a complete lap in that thing. Thursday night drift at Orange Show. Like it just, first lap out, I had pedal disconnect problems, which I've never had it before. Just when it hit red line, pedal just shuts off. So we played with that, got that figured out. Then hydro didn't work because I went to an inline hydro. I was talking to Travis basically and was like, hey, there's a lot of calipers back here. Like there's 4 calipers, a lot of stuff moving on. I need to lose weight out of the car. I've never ran an inline hydro before. Like, what's the plan? So he kind of told me how to do it. I did it. It didn't work, but not because of him, but because of me. When the second set of pads got hot, the ones I wasn't using, the ones that were capped off, when they got hot, they drug on the on the rotor. So I thought it was my inline locking up, but it was the pads that weren't even connected, but had a plug in them that were locking up. So I took those rotors off. That fixed that problem. So I got that all good to go. And then I have like a battery isolator set up, like kill switch that kills the ground side, like we used to have in most of the drift cars. And it was getting like fire hot, like you couldn't even touch it. And it would just shut the car off randomly. So halfway through one run, it just go, and everything shuts off. Just, controller disconnect scenario. So couldn't figure out what it was. Put my hand back there, burned my hand. I was like, well, that's probably that item that's on fire. Let's get rid of that. So I had to rewire some other stuff and just ran kind of no kill switch scenario for the rest of the event. So yeah, we're getting there. Because I want to drive it in hot pit. That's what my goal is, to try and figure out how to turn the Magnuson supercharger down so it can still be used on a 300 treadwear tire. Because right now, at below 3,000 RPM, it made 980 to the wheels torque before 3,000 RPM. And on a 255, 300 treadwear, it's not going to live. Like, the car's undrivable. So we figured out a way of turning the blower down, taking power out of it, and then we're just trying to figure out how the pedal will go back to connect and not disconnect. So
yeah, it's weird. I don't know very much about drive-by-wire, so that's a whole other can of worms.
I don't either. I've always drove cable, but they're like, hey, let's do this. It'll probably save some motors, some valve train stuff. Because, when Connor was driving the car, we went through a couple motors from drivetrain issues. Because Connor drives it like a 2J, which is banging red line everywhere.
Yeah.
And LS, you can't do that. It's got little push rods. It doesn't live like that.
It's not happy about that.
Not at all.
What's that been like now? I guess, really as a team owner of like the infrastructure and the planning and the budgeting, and like, I don't think there's a lot of money to be made running cars for other pro drivers, to be perfectly honest. If there is any money to be made.
If there is, let me know how to do it, because it's not. Okay. I'm not on that side.
I've heard enough, and you know how the pits are. Like the pits talk, like the pits are alive. There's discussion, and admittedly, it's pretty open. I would think even the last couple of years about the financial side of things. It feels more open the last 2 or 3 years. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of money to be made doing that. But how has that been in general, just being a team owner and setting up these like arrive and drive programs?
It's been a lot extra for me.
Okay.
Because now I'm concentrating on my car, which the 1 Series, let's back up to the Connor scenario. Yeah. That was not supposed to happen in any way.
Right. That was very last minute.
Connor, and we didn't even know Connor was coming over. Basically, I got a phone call from WiseFab, and Tarmo was like, hey, bro, if I bring a driver over for the WiseFab event, like, do you think you can support him with a car? I'm like, yeah, I can, dude. I have 2 cars. Like, I'm sure I can figure out between Senate Sally and the LS car. Like, they can drive one of my cars. We'll make it happen. He's like, all right, cool. I'll bring someone over. So I didn't even know who was coming over. Had no idea. And then he came. Then he gets there and he's like, hey man, I'm here. I brought Connor with me. I was like, I don't really know much about Connor because I didn't really watch Drift Masters back then. Tell you the truth. It sounds funny, but I didn't have time. So I was like, all right, cool, yeah, Connor. Oh, nice to meet you. And I was like, oh wait, you were the one who just won Drift Masters, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, super sick, cool. Came by, kind of saw the setup, and he's like, oh, you build your race cars like out of this garage? I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, I love this. This is so much cooler. Yeah. Like, this is rad. I was like, and he's like, it looks bigger on TV, or like, when he's seen it before. He's like, I didn't know this is literally a 1-car garage. I'm like, yeah, it's a 1-car garage. So he's like, rad, awesome, loved it. Yeah. I guess it's similar to how they build cars at home. Like, they don't have a crazy big shop. He loved it. So we're talking, and he's like, okay, cool. And I was going to drive my 1 Series, and I was going to let him drive Senate Sally, which is basically back then was my full street car, just wrapped the same as the pro car for promotional purposes. And he's like, oh, yeah, that'll be cool. M50 turbo, nice. And then he goes in the garage and he's like, oh, this is the pro car from last year, right? I was like, yeah, E36. I'm just kind of refreshing it. The whole rear end was missing. So radiator back was off, all the body panels, everything. He's like, man, I've always wanted to drive like a proper like LS car, like a proper E36 car. This thing is sick. I'm like, oh, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So he left that night, and I'm like, I don't know when he's going to get the chance to come back over. I guess I'm putting this thing back together. I'm like, hey, babe, I got to put this car back together. So
not going to bed. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So I put the whole car together that night, put the quick change back in it, put the rear radiator on it, put everything back on, all the rear body panels on it, and I put it in the trailer. And then I continued to finish the 1 Series and put that on the back of the Togi, the little tow truck. Pull that all out, and we drive up there. We drive in the tow truck, and Tarmo drives my truck and trailer because I felt safer with him driving that than the right-hand drive tow truck that might struggle. So I was like, I'll drive this thing. So we get up there, and I unload the 1 Series, and then we go to unload the thing, and I unload the door, and he's like, wait, like, what car is that? Like, wait, isn't that your pro car? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's sick, man. And then he kind of got down. He's like, so what am I going to drive? I'm like, no, that's what you're going to drive. He's like, wait, what? Like, he was super, super stoked on it. And then, yeah, I mean, fast forward from then, that was 2 weeks before Long Beach.
Yeah.
And the 1 Series was never supposed to be a pro car. It was supposed to be a fun, like, grid life practice car. And at the end, he's like, hey, what would it take for me to drive this car in FD? And I'm like, well, I guess that means I got to drive the 1 Series. He's like, I'll help you try and set it up and figure it out. I said, okay. So that's how that whole thing happened. So like being a team owner, I don't know if I'd call it that, is kind of like a dude with a spare car. And we made it happen. We made all last year happen. He ended up on the podium. He won 2 events in the thing. I mean, killed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed it in a car he's never drove before. So, and on the wrong side, because he had only drove left-hand drive like a handful of times ever. Mm-hmm. So it was that, and then at the end of the year, he's like, "Hey, man, I'm going to be doing my own thing. I got some financial backing. Like, some of the companies stepped up in a big time way. Like, I'm going to be doing my own deal. I just wanted to say thank you. Like, I really appreciate it." I said, "Yeah, dude, no worries." And then Jack approached me. He's like, "Hey, I was talking to a couple other drivers. I really loved what you were able to do with my brother, especially on so low budget. Like, what do we need to do to make this happen? And are you willing to kind of take me on as a driver?" I'm like, "Well, I guess. Like, can you drive left-hand drive?" He's like, "No." I'm like, shit.
Well, that just made things difficult. Yeah.
Okay. He's like, "Can you convert E36 to right-hand drive?" I'm like, "Not really, because the dash is physically different. Like, the firewall is physically different on the cars. It's not like a newer car where they're interchangeable, but the panels and the floors are actually different. They're flipped over." So I was like, I don't know if I can make an LS right-hand drive converted E36 header car. Like, this is way too much for me. But I have a 1 Series in the backyard that's supposed to be my new shell for my totaled car that's sitting in the garage that I started taking apart. What if I convert the car in the backyard, put a cage in it, and convert it to right-hand drive, and we have 2 cars that I didn't like and double down on 2 1 Series? And he's like, "Yep, let's go for that one." So that's happened. The go-ahead on that was February.
Okay.
So that's when we figured out that I had to build another car. And I was gone all of February overseas. So I got back at the beginning of March and was like, cool, cut half the cage off, make it now right-hand drive, convert everything to right-hand drive, get all the body panels and everything, and all right, we're going to do M50 turbo. And then we realized laying it over isn't going to work. And the drive shaft or steering shaft and headers and all that was too much to deal with. Yeah. So Sam's like, "Hey, how about you do S54 and we'll stand her up?" And I'm like, wait, so now I have a new car and 2 new engines and a new engine platform and a new driver.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I'm like, sounds great. How many weeks do we have? 3? Okay, not going to sleep much on this one. And we went to S54. Much more powerful engine. I mean, Sam over there, Sam Magmami, who drives Prospect, is the one who builds our engines. And he's like, dude, the S54 is a rocket ship. They're so good. So I was like, okay, I trusted you to go M50 turbo. That was the jam. Let's try the next mission. Who cares? I mean, I've already doubled down on the 1 Series. Let's double and triple down on some S54s. Let's make it happen, buddy. And he bought a bunch. He bought, the timing hat was perfect. He bought all the spare parts and leftover parts from ESSA, because ESSA was on a fire sale of everything.
Right.
So Sam's like, "Bro, I got 4 of them. We'll put 1 in my car, 1 in your car, 1 in Jack's car, and have 1 spare." I'm like, yeah, it kind of adds up. Let's go for it. So we do all that. We get it all going. He got him. He's like, we're pumping. This is Thursday before FD. Oh, no. Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday before FD. We went to Apple Valley to test, and we blew one up.
Yeah.
Jacks came apart. And we're like, dude, we have 24 hours till we load into Long Beach, and we do not have a spare motor. We're in trouble. So we got there. We pulled the motor out. Sam basically took the other block that we were supposed to build as a spare, converted everything, built everything, brought it to the machine shop. They worked late, like everything. And then the engine didn't run, but it had to be in the car for weigh in and for everything for tech. So we pushed the car into Long Beach, pushed it on Kevin's like tech thing. We passed tech and then pushed it back out and went back to the shop and kept working that whole night, tuned it, everything else, and then brought it first thing in the morning. So me and the team hadn't slept in like 61 hours before first practice. And then I just go right out there into first practice at Long Beach. So in a car that Jack had tested like 3 laps before it came apart. We think a rod bolt broke, like on like, literally a bolt broke. Because all it did was go, like one piston just came out, destroyed the crank, and went out the bottom. And we're like, and there was no damage, there's no heat, there's no problem, nothing else was bent. Just one rod went straight out. So something had to have broken. Like that's the only explanation for it is rod bolt failure.
Yeah, there's no like pre-dad or anything on the cylinder head. There was like no heat soaking in the rings. It was just like clean, like someone extracted it out. I mean, other than it's very violent exit.
Yeah, that was it. That's why we're like, what is going on here? And the bolt was in on one side, cap was broken off, and the stud was broken off inside, like sheared off inside. So that tells me that it just snapped off.
Sheared. Yeah.
So we're like, that's cool and convenient right now. So
I mean, yeah, it's one of those you almost kind of wish it would have happened in competition, only because then it's like, okay, well at least this is over and we can figure it out later. It happened. Like I know that sounds terrible.
No, but I get your point.
Yeah.
At least at that point, you're like, there's no way I can rebuild this entire motor in the next 5-minute call. So I'm out.
Yeah.
But this is like, you got 24
there's a
hours.
chance.
You can probably make this happen. And I'm like, like you're kidding me right now.
I think what I've learned is like never give you a chance. Like if there's a chance that you could get back out there, I think we talked about it in the last show, but like you and Pro 2 in Texas, when you like almost like had to ratchet strap the rad to the back of the dude, I was like, holy shit, he made it back out. Like if there's an opportunity for you to get back out there, it's going to happen, or you're going to die on your shield trying to make it happen.
Pretty much, yeah. I remember that thing looked like a doom buggy at the end. Like,
dude, it was wild.
They're like, sir, you can't bring that car. And I'm like, sir, that's the same car I started with. I apologize.
Because there's like a slow-mo clip of like the whole rad coming out and just like shooting down the track, and like there's water spraying everywhere, and you're just in the seat like this, so the whole thing's just wild.
What was crazy is luckily the Halos, like I have the NRG like carbon seat, so the Halos protected me super well. And I remember coming on and coming on the radio and be like, all right guys, I'm okay. Like, what's the damage? They're like, dude, you haven't talked to us in over a minute. We thought you were dead. I'm like, wait, what? So I was out for a while, bro. Like before I came back. Yeah. And then I remember all the teams are coming over. They're thrashing. They're trying to get it all back together. We get it all back in. And Sean Adriano was like, I think you're missing something. I'm like, no, everything's good because the heat exchanger is in front of the radiator. So the heat exchanger stayed in the car for the supercharger. And then like I look down and the radiator hoses are just sitting there, like not attached to anything. I'm like, wait, where's the radiator? Like, we had to go back out on track to go find the radiator because we didn't even know we lost it.
Oh man, that's nuts. That's nuts. But I mean, it just shows the perseverance you've got. I don't know where you get that motivation from. I honestly wish I had more of it, because like I'll look at those opportunities for you and be like, holy shit, you're just gonna go for it. Whereas so many other people would be like, nah, we're done. Like that's it. Like I'm defeated. Like you don't know the word die, man.
Well, think about this, right? The first time I met you was in Erie.
Right.
And we had to do a commentary speaking with like one microphone, passing it down the line and over, and like
2 to 3 people.
Here, you say something, hold on, you say something over there.
It was good. It was good. It was fun.
It was just a lot of work because we're like trying to figure out who's trying to say the next thing without missing any part of it. And I remember in there, you're like, man, it'd be awesome if I could be, like commentating for FD or for Drift Masters or anything. And look where you are now, buddy.
I know. I always look at other people and try and find, like, admittedly, I have pretty crazy imposter syndrome, especially this year. Like, it hasn't hit me. It has not hit me the position that I'm in, which is good and bad. It's good because I think it's really pushing me to continue to do more, to do better. like not rest on my laurels, to, you know, just keep pushing for more. But also, I don't know when it's going to hit me where I'm just going to have this moment of like, holy shit, I'm doing all of this stuff. Like, this is all happening. This is real life. I'm hoping it happens like in the privacy of my own home and not like, not like
Major
on a
meltdown.
microphone. Yeah.
Like
this
no.
existential crisis just hits me all of a sudden. Like, I told this story before where I realized, but it did not hit me that I had a son until his first birthday. It took an entire year. Like, I knew I had a kid. You know, he came home with us. Like, there was never like I forgot that I had a child, but like, it truly didn't sink in that this was my child until his first birthday. Everyone was there. My family was there. You know, my mom, my stepdad, my dad, like everybody was there. Like, everyone put aside any family issues that were going on, and just they were there because of this thing, my child, my son. You know what I mean? And I remember sitting on my front porch, my wife's there, and my wife's like, are you okay? Like, you look like you're pale, like you're in shock. I'm like, we have a child. She's like, yeah, it's his birthday. I'm like, I know, but like, this is ours. He's our child. We made that human being. She's like, did it just hit you? I'm like, yeah, it just hit me that this is our kid. So
You've had him for a year, sir.
yeah. But like, I'm fully aware, I guess that's how I'm programmed. So I'm very concerned that moment's going to hit me at a really bad time. So I'm hoping it's like maybe the FD Awards banquet or something where like the year's over and I'm like, man, I just did the two largest series in the world of our motorsport and the podcast and whatever else is happening. Like, holy shit. So
it was a lot in 1 year.
It's a lot in 1 year, man. But like, I mean, you know, flipping it back on your side of things, I'm sure you've had those same moments where you're like, I'm driving in this crazy motorsport and being flown all over the world to do all these events. I have international drivers calling me to come drive my cars, and I'm building in one bay garage, and I'm still making it work. I'm showing up to every single event. You know, we're not backing out. We're still doing the thing. Any opportunity to still compete, I'm taking it. Like, and that's still nuts.
And they're competitive, and we're competitive.
Yeah. And on top of all that, you're both driving really well, and both cars are driving well. Like, that's
we're
pretty
in
crazy.
Kind of a tough car. I know it sounds funny, but there's a lot of people that have failed to make this car work because it's. I don't know. I don't know if I don't recommend it, but it's a unique car to get to work because it's the suspension is so finicky on when it works and the right ride height and the aluminum front subframes and everything breaking in the rear subframes and like kind of in a funny thing too is yes, we have a one car garage that we built it in, but I'm also running a 24-foot Featherlight trailer. We're a one car trailer and we're technically running 3 cars out of it. I don't know if I don't.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then this year, as you saw, is we took on Carson as well, which Carson was my crew chief. So my crew chief, we built him a car. He's in an E92 in Pro Spec. So technically we have 4 cars that is running out of a 24-foot Featherlight trailer.
It's nuts.
It's pretty crazy. So we have a 4-person team.
Speaking of Carson, he's driving really well. One, I don't know how you get his seating position correct because of how tall he is.
Just all the way in the trunk, just all the way back there as far as I can. He's tall. He's 6'11". He's got James by like 2 or 3 inches.
That's wild.
To put that into perspective, I mean, when he sits in the car, I can take the seat out and he almost sits his head on the roof, sitting flat on the bottom of the floor on an E92.
Oh, that's wild.
Because originally he's like, "Oh, I want to build it. Like, let's build an E36." I'm like, "Bro, you don't fit."
No.
And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Dude, you don't fit." Like, he looked like.
I just thought of this, like the steering column rules. Like, it's not like you could do an aftermarket steering column, move everything back and pedal box and move it. Like,
pedal. No, everything's stock. I got that whole thing to work, all stock. NRG.
That might be your greatest accomplishment is fitting a 6'11" person E92 race car.
Dude, and NRG built me a 4-inch spacer to get the steering wheel close enough to him. So he's got a 4-inch spacer plus a quick release, which is another 3 inches. So he's like way back here chilling.
Damn, that's wild.
Yeah, it's funny when I drive it. I feel like a little kid because I have to sit on the front edge of the seat because I can't touch the pedals. I'm like, bro, I can't see over the dash. Yeah.
Oh man. That's a wild year, though, dude. Like that's nuts. Yeah, I'm hoping the 1 Series kind of becomes what we're seeing with the Supra now, where it took a really long time for the Supra to be competitive, and arguably still not the best chassis that we have right
you
now.
realize the 2 cars that you're kind of comparing it against have the same exact problem because they're the exact same chassis underneath. Same front subframe, same rear subframe.
Yeah, but this is what I'm getting at is like the 8.6. I mean, really, when the 8.6 came out, it suffered from a very similar thing as well. Tiny suspension travel in the rear. If you want a full breakdown on that, Chelsea Denofa did a whole video about why he hates that chassis. And I don't know if you've seen it, but he cannot stand that chassis. Maybe he's changed his mind now, but not a ton of suspension travel, not built for the adjustability that we've got now. Thankfully, BMW simplified their suspension geometry a little bit. But as you said, the window for getting the ride height correct and rebound and compression and everything else correct is so narrow in those cars.
It's like 10 mil.
Yeah.
Literally a 10 millimeter up or down, the rear suspension doesn't work on the car. It starts to like toe out under throttle,